conversation here. There's still some pizza and salad out there, so help yourself. Once again, this evening we are online, so please speak up. It's a little smaller room, but still we need the sound to carry to this microphone, so we can those online can hear what's going on. So yes, probably ought to get the okay. There we go. All right. Once again, our typical agenda. So what happened? Okay. All right. We'll get this figured out. All right. Let's see, moving on here, I guess as we usually do, I'd like to just see if we've got anybody new this evening. I'd like to ask you to maybe introduce yourself and let us know who you are and what brought you here tonight. So I think got one here.
My name's Mitch Holsteg. Yeah, I'm new. Moved to Phoenix here about 1.5 years ago. Worked with Amrish at GE Healthcare. I'm a supplier quality engineer, and just got back from a deployment military. I've been gone for about 6 months. So, yeah, thank you. I've always been interested to get involved in here. I don't have my CQE yet, but I'm working on going on that and getting part of the chapter.
All right. Well, excellent. Thanks, Mitch. I think we had another one here. All right.
My name is Mark Rager. Tim knows me. I was invited here by a friend of mine, Ken Lee. He sat there, he seen me a couple weeks ago and sent me the information and said, yeah, I've been auditing for the company I worked for better than 10 years. As an internal auditor, I worked within Q&R, quality reliability engineer, a factory engineer.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Mark. Welcome.
My name's Alex Bowie. I'm from England, so please don't hold that against me. But this is not new to me because I used to come 20 years ago. And you guys, weren't even working there. Yeah, they were 2 places. This is a big improvement on it. If I remember 20 years ago, I remember doing a presentation. I did a presentation. And I gave one, and it was the early days of the ISO 2000. And it was in a restaurant. In those days, people packed over 100 people there. It was amazing. Jim Steele is the guy who was responsible for me being here. And you go through life, these sort of things happen, and you latch onto it. So it's good to be here. I have my own company. I've been going for 20 years. I specialize in implementation of all these standards, ISOs, and I also audit. So I'm happy to be here. Good to see a good turnout.
Well, thank you, Alex. Welcome, and glad you're back. So, we have somebody over here, right? Okay, I thought I saw a hand come up, so all right. Was there anyone else? All right, well, welcome, new members. Glad you could make it, and hope to see you again. All right. As we also like to do, if we have anybody who may be seeking an enhanced employment or a change, if you want to let us know what you're seeking, and maybe we can get you connected up with some of the opportunities that are out there. So.
Indication of full employment?
Yeah, I guess so. A lot better than it was a few years ago. All right. On the other side of that, if we have any employers who might be have any openings, if you'd like to let us know, we can maybe there's some. Oh, all right. Well, I guess that's okay too. Regardless, if you are seeking or if you do know of something that comes along, we do have a number of resources. We'll be going over some of that in a little more detail, but you certainly can check out our website or our job board, and we will we'll get things connected up. So, moving along.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Come on.
The manual or what?
Come on. There it goes. All right. Upcoming events. First of all, ASQ will be holding their annual Quality 4.0 Summit in Dallas I want to say that's in October, but register by the end of September, and you can still get some savings. There's also there's a conference over in Southern California, around the LA area. If you're interested, you can check that out. We should have a link on our site and be able to. You can go into there and see what's going on. ASQ is also doing some training sessions here in October. Again, you got a couple of days to register for those and still get a discount on the registration costs. Also, just saw after I published this, but before I left, that they are also looking at doing a two-part Six Sigma black belt transition training. So if you already are one of the other belts and are looking to move up, there'll be a two-part seminar session here in the Valley. Or no, actually, I believe this is going to be online in October and November. So see asq.org for that one. Let's see, we also have a couple of events that the section will be participating in here over the next few weeks. First of all, we'll be on September 27th. We're going to be at a event at the Diamondbacks game that last weekend. They're playing their homestand, but a SEM event to reach out to some of the kids, let them know what's going on in the industries and out in the job world. So we'll be there to help show a little bit of what ASQ and quality functions are all about. Also, we will be at let's see, this is not really a career fair. It is the Career Exploration Night at the Tempe campus. That will be on October 16th. It's a mixer for freshmen and industry professionals to get to know what's going on and what's out in industry and what they might, where their interests may take them as they are starting their engineering careers. So, all right, and then I guess I will take us on to announcements. Once again, just a quick review of where we've been on our meeting satisfaction scores. You know, we're holding in there about where we expect to be. So, but our response rate's been a little bit low. So once again, I'd like to remind you that we do have a survey. It's available on either on your receipt through the QR code or online at our website under the programs, and that give us your feedback. We'd really like to know what you've got going on and what's on your mind, so we can provide really the information and events that you want to see. So I guess on top of that, I'd also like to check if any of our officers or committee chairs have anything for discussion tonight.
Well, I guess
I would just like to reiterate, hi, I'm Bob Mitchell. Pending the results of the election, I will be your chair next year. We do still have a couple openings available on the executive committee for 2020. And of course, the committee chairs themselves are always looking for willing candidates and volunteers to help on their committees. So if you have any interest at all becoming more involved with the section, you can earn our additional RU points for that. So if you'd like to express an interest and see what's available, I'd encourage you to go to our websites where we have a little bit more information. Let's see, one of the positions that we still have openings, at least one, or we'd like to have even more than one volunteer. If any of you are familiar and use some of these social media platforms, if you'd like to participate and contribute on behalf of the section to all of our members, especially those who live outstate. Those are some of the unfilled positions, and also if you have an interest or some experience using LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, YouTube, we have all of that. We participate in all those platforms. And as I'm rolling into the chair position, I don't want this to become the section of Bob. I want you to participate and make this your own section. So if anybody out there has an interest, those online as well, please, again, go to our website and either fill out the volunteer interest form or give us a shout out via the email. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Any announcements or anything? Jennifer, Leanne, our regional chair. All right. Amrish, Treasury, anything? Tim? No. Okay. I think I got everybody. So, all right. Then I guess we will roll into our benefits section here. So we'll hand this over to Jim.
Yeah, great. Thank you. There you go. And forward is that one, right?
That one.
Okay.
Yeah,
so as part of our programs, we talk about benefits of being ASQ members or participating in the ASQ society, local society. And one of the areas we're all interested in, right, is career development. So who's responsible for career development? Well, it's usually a partnership between the employee, you, and your manager or director or whoever who's above you. And so together, you identify those opportunities to get involved in career development. And so the development is in skills, so as you different techniques, problem-solving skills, those sort of things, but also experiences. And so you bring the different experiences, a different point of view, and it's very valuable to the teamwork that everybody has a slightly different point of view, and together you're a very strong organization. So with career development, there's an uptick in employee satisfaction, and with Radha, she'll be talking about that sort of thing as being a key part to enjoying your job. And I've been fortunate, career almost 40 years, and I've only had 2 jobs I didn't like. So I've been very fortunate. So some of the development opportunities, you're at one of them, right? Monthly section meetings, either in person or online. Before the meeting, we talked about networking. And so you get a chance to meet new people and see if there's some areas that you have a similar interest or experience, or somebody that can help you solve a problem you have at work, right? We offer training courses and webinars. A big part of a lot of us, and especially the RUs, is our certifications. And so definitely in my role when I was a consultant, it was very valuable to have 4 different certifications. So I know I got sort of the head of this list saying, oh, you're a certified quality engineer, you're a certified manager, me getting those jobs. I know that was a key part of that. And then participating in this committee. And again, that helps you grow. And you're not in a leadership position or right now, have the opportunity to develop some of those skills. And we've got some very experienced people and a lot of firepower. So we're always interested in mentoring and helping people grow as leaders. And so I want to let you know what websites I'm going to share in the next couple of slides. Is it posted now or will be?
It is active.
It's active now. Okay, excellent. Appreciate it. So you don't have to copy down all the hyperlinks. So we have ASQ from the corporate-wide ASQ. We have the ASQ Career Center. As we talked about earlier, finding or posting a job You can leverage those sort of things. And again, it's just another outlet for you to find, especially when in a full employment type situation, trying to find those really talented people that are willing to take a good job and go to a better job. Find those people. The training courses and webinars. You've got LinkedIn is another area of social media we're involved with, and that's been invaluable, again, for my role, both as Vice President for Watershed, but also as a consultant. And then you can join the ASQ community. My ASQ is a new benefit, and so we've migrated over to the My ASQ, and then you have a ASQ connection letter, and with that you get career aspects associated with that. And so these are all available through your ASQ membership, help you in your career growth. And then for the local chapter, you've got the community site on My ASQ. We've got the job board, which provides latest local postings. So again, more local versus national or international. We've got a Facebook page that helps you in the social engagements, facilitates the two-way communication, and then also LinkedIn. Go from there. So again, both at the national level and at the local level, these opportunities exist. And then we also have a LinkedIn group for ASQ Phoenix, and so that's our members professional network. We've got a Twitter account, Instagram, and then also YouTube. So again, a lot of activities associated with that. Also, ASQ offers a whole wealth of different certifications, and so here's a list of them. Medical auditor, you've got manager quality, you've got master black belt, and quality engineer, reliability engineer, Six Sigma. So, and then they got a new one called supplier quality professional. So thank you. Any questions? Okay. Yep, we got one more slide. Yep. Okay. Oops. And then, as we always do, this is a really, as they said, very nice facility here. We really appreciate what Edward Jones does for us. So, okay, so today we're going to have or tonight, I guess, a presentation, and I'm going to massacre the last name. Okay, Takushi I can pronounce. So Takushi System and Application and Employee Attrition. And so I'd like to introduce Radha. And she's a certified Lean Sigma Master Black Belt with 10+ years experience in the information technology services sector across the United States, the United Kingdom, and India. She has Lean Sigma improvement projects across telecom, retail, media publishing, finance, and accounts for customer service and back office operations. Additionally, she's instrumental in developing statistical methods for key business problems and new ventures. She's a registered coordinator for Customer Operations Performance Center and setting the performance standard. You welcome her.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to share my experiences of what we faced a few years ago in controlling the attrition problem that we face in our industry. We come from an industry which is IT services industry, and it is the largest growing industry in India. It is across like 1.2 billion people in a place globally, and it is more of people-oriented, you would know. So the knowledge, because they come with knowledge, and that's a key asset for our organization. So people is a core asset for our industry. So attrition is really a big problem for us. So what's the issue when we started it? Yes? Yeah. Okay. When we started this this was a scenario where the industry was blooming like anything. And so we had new players in the market, and employees were switching over to different industries for even like few dollars. So for like around 3 months, we were having an attrition rate of 23.5%, which is really huge for an industry. And the HR were into it, and this was for one of our telecom provider, a telecom giant who was our client, and he was based in UK. And we were getting more business from them. And so it's like, this is a phase where we get more business, but we have the existing employees leaving, so which is really a pain for us. And so we had people around 2,400 people, so it's a big project for us, like 2,400 people just sitting out in one center, and we have people moving. And what is the financial impact of it? For each and every employee who is leaving the organization, we have to pay around 4 to 6 months because we spend time in their technical training, on the product training, and on the process and so many things. So it's like 4 to 6 months of salary, because by the time they reach production, they would not be meeting the targets. So by the time they hit the production and meet the complete customer satisfaction, it takes 4 to 6 months for us. So if an employee leaving is really critical for us. And also, this impacts the customer survey, because this industry is in the reverse model where the employee is one who's interacting with the customer directly. So the IT industry is like very, very dependent on the lower level employees. So any miss in that area will affect the customer satisfaction. So this was the situation which we were in when this project started. So let's get on to the problem that the recruitment wing was facing. First, on the hiring of it. There's one side where we have to ramp up because the client is trying to give us more business and we wanted to satisfy him, whereas whatever new hires like we were recruiting was just going for backfill. So, and we have like the company is placing other clients too. So it was like the other clients were also impacted. And it was the hiring cost per person, like per hire, was increasing. So normally the channel that we use is referrals and campus, because the cost per hire is much less through referrals and campus. But just because we have like huge attrition here, like the attrition rates are really high, we have to go for other modes of recruitment, which is like we have to go for consultants, and so which increases the cost per hire as well. And then the HR team was doing the analysis to see what we can do. What can we do? Say it comes up like, okay, you have like the salaries, you have better salaries, so that's why people switch. They feel like it is night shifts. Someday they have to work on night shifts, so they're not comfortable. So they are coming up with a solution which had only the regular or the common solutions. So what we were thinking is, this we cannot change, isn't it? Can we change? We cannot change the work life and everything. So what can we do? So if I have an issue, if somebody comes and talks to me, personally, I would be there are chances that I can be retained in the organization. So we have deployed a flow management team, which would be going and addressing the employee individually who has some problem. So it is more like a flow management a team. So for a 2,400 big size, the flow management team was very small to address. So we were not sure like whom to address, whom not to address. So what they were looking for is a model which would just tell me like which employee is having an issue, like who is highly probable of leaving. Can I point out that person so that my effort can be directed to him rather than the whole thing? And then the hiring team, the recruiters, they are back-to-back on recruiting. So like it was a burnout for them. And another impact was they had to fill in because you have the pressure from every different direction. So the quality of the new hires were affected because they just have to fill in the numbers. So they were giving us people who were not of the high quality. So this was again like a vicious cycle. So normally you have the issue, you have the pressure from the top management because you're missing your ramp up targets, your client satisfaction is impacting. So definitely, so the HR, the recruitment wing was under pressure. So this was the time when we were trying to do it. So what was the need right now? The need was to identify the potential dropouts accurately, like who is going to leave? Can I give like a matrix? Can I tell like what are these are the employees who would be immediately moving? They are in the possibility of immediately moving. Some are okay, kind, but their needs have to be addressed, and some are fine. So can I have something like that? So that's what we were looking for. Can we identify the potential dropouts exactly, accurately, and provide a focused redressal program? So here we came, like the quality team, we came in with an objective that we have to control the employee moving immediately. This is not for the new hires, this is for the existing employee who is on the floor. And we have to provide a matrix called RAG matrix, which is red, amber, green. So red being like, it will list out all the employees and we'll say, okay, these are the employees who are under red, who have the probability of leaving immediately, and then you have an amber and green. So this was a matrix which we're trying to provide to the HR team. And we also have to identify there are potentially many issues which would impact attrition, many parameters which would impact attrition. Are there anything which is highly influential? So that's something which you can roll out across the board, not like individually, because you know like there would be chance causes and you will have system costs. Like so, can I roll out something at the floor level? So any business problem will be converted to a statistical problem. So what we are looking for is, we were looking for a pattern recognition method, which when we have the known, say I have the data of people who have left the organization, I have data of the people who are staying with the organization. So can I have a pattern? Can I do a recognition across this pattern and find out, okay, this is like a normal group, they would be staying with me, and there'll be another group which will not be. So can I do something like that? This is what we were trying to do so that the HR team can go and have intervention. So this is what we were trying. Okay, thanks to these two quality gurus, probably one you would, predominantly everybody would know, Taguchi. He is from Japan, and he was the one who led this. He used another contribution by P.C. Mahalanobis. He is an Indian scientist, and he is the founder of Indian Statistical Institute, which is like ASQ. So he had proposed, he is remembered for the Mahalanobis distance, which is his contribution, and that was way back in 1936. So Taguchi, in his 1998, what he did was he took the work of, he had visited India, and he has studied about this. And he took that Mahalanobis distance and he also combined that with his Taguchi method, and this is put together called Mahalanobis-Taguchi system, which is a pattern recognition system. And nowadays it is improvised, it is with neural networks, and they have taken up to the higher level. Probably I wouldn't know much about it, but they have taken up to the higher level right now. So he's known for Taguchi methods and design of experiments, and they both contributed to this Mahalanobis-Taguchi system. What is MTS? And this is a Google Doodle, which Google gave for his 125th birthday. Yeah. So this method is used as a pattern recognition system through diagnosis. What are we doing? We are diagnosing, and then we have to forecast. Okay, I build a model, and then can I forecast it and see? Can I forecast and see like whether this person will belong to this normal group or not? That's what we were trying to do. And the major thing here was the Mahalanobis distance, which is a contribution from P.C. Mahalanobis. What it does is, whenever we have a multivariate system, what we have, like you have to have a distance, which is like you summarize all the multi-dimension into one particular parameter, like on a scale, which is like a distance. So that is what he did. That is his major contribution. And let's deep dive into it when we are seeing it, how he calculated that. How can we put in different dimensions into one single parameter, and what are the advantages over the other traditional systems that we have. And this separates the normal items from the abnormal items, the Mahalanobis distance. The model is built in two phases. One is the model building, and the second phase is where you have the model optimization. What is model building? Like where you have the known population, where we know that there's one set which is a normal group, which is like people who are in the organization, no problem with them. And I have an abnormal group who are the people who have left me. So I divide with the known results, like I have the data. So with a known population, I start building a model. And how am I separating this normal group and abnormal group? Is through a distance. We can see that in detail in the further slides. I'm just trying to give you a summary of it. So you have a normal group and the abnormal group, and what separates them is the Mahalanobis distance. Okay? And then we have the second phase where we have the model optimization. So model optimization is whenever we are having a multivariate analysis, we have many parameters. Like potentially we will be just listing out the various parameters which can possibly impact the output. And then whenever you are using it for forecasting, we don't have to collect data on all this because it is very costly. So we want to have an economically viable solution. So we optimize that. And this optimization is the contribution of Taguchi because he does it through orthogonal array and signal to noise ratio. So the first model building is done by Mahalanobis, and that is through Mahalanobis distance, and the optimization is done by the contribution of Taguchi, which is through orthogonal arrays and signal to noise ratio. Let's deep dive into it and see what is that. Maybe a bit technical, but I don't have to preach the choir, you would know it. So here we have, the diagram over here is we are trying to plot, though it is in 2 dimensions, just assume that it is in a multivariate dimension. So this is the normal space, okay? And assuming that I have a base point, I calculate the Mahalanobis distance. And if at all, if I have someone out there, way beyond, so I would know that he is somewhere beyond this space. So this is what I am trying to achieve. Can I build a normal space? Can I group all the parameters and plot the individual in one particular space, and then calculate the distance from a base point, and see if it is nearer, then he belongs to this group. If he is far, then he is into the abnormal group. That is what they are trying to do. So let's go into what do we do in the first one, generation of normal space. First, we have to define the normal group, and then we have to define the k variables. What are these k variables? The factors which would influence. And in our case, it is the factors which influences the attrition, like probably salary, the shift, the background, and so many things. So first we list out all that, and then we gather data, and then we calculate the Mahalanobis distance. So once you do this, we do it for the normal group, where I have from the floor, I collect the data and then do it. And the second part is I repeat the same thing for the abnormal group and check whether I am finding all the other points way beyond, like in a different space, not within my normal space. That's what I am trying to do. So this is how they do. And if at all, if the model that we developed shows distinction, which means that the model that we have considered is good. Otherwise, which means that we have not considered the factors which are really influencing, so we have to rethink on the possible parameters. So this is the second phase where we optimize the MTS, and that's through orthogonal arrays and signal to noise ratio. And let's get into this. This is the actual data that we tried. So this is for attrition. So what is our population? Like we have the population and we have our normal group. Normal group is the people who are staying with the company for 1 year. The least expectation that we had was the employee should stay with us for 1 year. And the abnormal group are the people who left the organization before 1 year. So we define the variables which will be influencing the output through a brainstorming session with the people who are on the floor, the management and everyone. And then we identified around like 30 variables. Initially we were having like around 54 variables, but on the possibility of collecting data, then we have to reduce it to 30 variables. And then we started collecting the data. One advantage of MTS is we can have both continuous as well as discrete data. It is not that, say, discrete data you can just you can categorize them. So you can put like 10, 20 and things like that, because I'll tell you how it is possible as well. So this is one advantage of MTS, where you can have both continuous as well as discrete data, and you do this. So here what are the different factors that we were looking for is like, say I joined, probably I'm from a technical background. This project that we were looking for, the work that we were doing was more technical, so we would have people from the technical background, non-technical background, or we would also see like there would be people who would be there in the training for a long time, because I have to go through retraining, or am I so sharp that I clear the training in first attempt, or probably like what is the CGC, where are they coming from, are they from a rural background or from a urban background, or say India being a multilingual country, we have people from people speak different languages, and the client whom we are addressing is like from UK, so they may have challenges in understanding English, or probably they would speak English, the accent would be different. So these are some issues. So like what is my medium of instruction? What was the medium of instruction for the particular employee? Like was he from an English medium or from another medium, the local medium? So these are some of the parameters we have listed out, and we started collecting data. So this is actually the formula for Mahalanobis distance. So what happens here is every employee is considered as a vector of different variables. he has a 30 variables which influences his output, like his decision of whether to stay with the organization or to leave the organization. So he is considered as a normal vector, and that is Z1 to 30. And then we calculate the Mahalanobis distance as 1 by k Z into A inverse Z transpose. What is this? What is A? A is covariance matrix. And another one is Z. Z is normalization. For this, first I'll just explain the output and then we'll deep dive into the formula as to how Mahalanobis distance is really useful. So I calculate the Mahalanobis distance with this formula for every person. For an individual, I calculate the MD, and then when I plot the histogram, I see that this varies from the maximum that I have is 1 point something, like 1.5 or something, so which is very less than 2. So which means that they are confined. If you remember the graph that we showed before, they are confined within a smaller space where the Mahalanobis distance was just 2. From the base point, they are just 2 points away. Okay, and this is because of the standardization. Standardization, you have like the mean as 0 and standard deviation as 1, and it is very rare to have an MD less than 2. So right now, what we have done, we have collected the data from the normal group for the people who have stayed with the organization. We have calculated the MD. Why do we have to calculate Mahalanobis distance? What is speciality about Mahalanobis distance? Why not Euclidean distance? You already have something which is Euclidean distance, which calculates the distance between 2 points. What we are doing, we have a point and we are trying to find the distance. So what is speciality about Mahalanobis distance? So yes, Euclidean distance also calculates the distance between 2 points. But what happens here is, let's consider this example. I have a data where I have area in square feet and price in dollars, thousands of dollars. So when I find the distance between 2 different points, here I have assume that it is a centroid of this point where you have all the means meeting, and then you have an individual point. I have a larger value. Assuming when the scale is changing, let's see, for the same data, if I have the area in acre, like from square feet I am converting into acre, and in thousands of dollars if I convert to millions, if I plot the same graph, the Euclidean distance will be of a smaller value, right? Because, so which means that what happens is, for the same set of data, we have 2 different distances, and when you have a multivariate analysis, you have different parameters which will have different values, different ranges. So what am I going to do? So that's why we go for standardization. If at all, if it is too technical, I think you would be able to appreciate it. So that's why we go for standardization. What is standardization doing? The input, whatever data that we are collecting, the input is measured in the same unit of output. The output is 0 to 1, so the input will also be changed to 0 to 1. That's what we are doing. So whatever be the metric, you have it in like thousands, 10,000 decimals, everything, that will be normalized. And what that becomes is you have a value between 0 and 1. That's what we are trying to do in normalization. And the second one, what is another advantage of Mahalanobis distance? What are we trying to do in this? Let's assume this. In this, I have 2 different variables here. These 2 different variables are not related. They're not related. So which means that, let's assume the point 1 and point 2. Point 1 from the center and point 2 from the center, they are of same distance, right? Assuming if they are positively correlated. Let's see, point 1 is of the same distance from the center as point 2. But point 1 belongs to this group, whereas point 2 doesn't belong to the group. In our day-to-day life, anything, a multivariate analysis, you would have high possibility that the variables are related. Say for example, if I have a technical background, then probably my technical score, my training score would be different, right? So I have the different parameters which would be connected. So I cannot use a Euclidean distance which just calculates the distance. It is not representative. My objective here is to see how I am with respect to the distribution. the whole distribution. Where am I placed along with the distribution? I just don't need the distance, how far I am. Do I also belong to that group? Do I also belong to the normal group? Far away? Am I far away? So this is what we are trying to do. So this is, so what happens is, so Mahalanobis distance does two things. They have a standardization. If you go back to the formula, you can remember there was Z, which standardizes your data, and then you have covariance, which brings in your distribution as well. Okay, so this is an advantage of Mahalanobis distance. Okay. Next is model validation. So how are we validating this model? Now what we have done, the first phase, we have collected data from the normal group. We have calculated the MD. Can we see the MD here? This is for the normal group. Can you see they are way lower, like they were less than 2? And we have calculated the Mahalanobis distance for the people who have left the organization. So can you see the points, like how far they are? So it distinctly, like I'm able to discriminate which is the normal group and which is the abnormal group, right? But care has to be taken while, say, okay, now there is a distinction. Let me just, what is the point which breaks it from normal and abnormal? What point? Is it 5, 2, 3? Yeah, this is one limitation of MTS because it doesn't give a concrete definition for where a normal space ends. So what we have to do is, while we are designing the threshold point, while we are designating the threshold point, we have to take an expert opinion because we would not know, like the expert who knows that. Okay, so that's one limitation of MD, but that can also be fulfilled back by an expert advice. And then, so we have the abnormal group. So which means that now when I have an output like this, this confirms that the Mahalanobis distance is able to discriminate between the normal and the abnormal group. Okay. Okay, now we are done with the model building. What next? I have 30 parameters and I cannot be doing this for everyone. Can I have an economically viable model? So what the next phase that we are doing, the next one that we are trying to do is reduce the number of parameters, and that's through orthogonal array. There are two levels, the orthogonal array that you're using for this experiment is 2-level orthogonal arrays where we are conducting experiments. So we had 30 parameters. So what we are here is we are having around like 32 experiments, and with this is an array, an orthogonal array where I have 1s and 2s, which means that in the first experiment I have all 1s, which means that I have considered all the variables. And in the second experiment, I have only the first set, like first 15 variables, and I have left the second 15. So the second experiment is done only through the first 15 variables. So this is the different combination that we have to see which factor is highly influencing. So this is what we are doing. And how can this be done? So I select this and I do the MD calculation again. I run the Mahalanobis distance again for each and every point and see what is happening. What we are trying to do is there's signal to noise ratio helps us in identifying this influencing parameter. Signal to noise ratio is where, say for example, let's take the first one. Let's take CTC. Okay, let's assume that it is CTC. CTC we know by like knowledge of the crowd, it's really a highly influencing parameter. But what they do is this CTC they will have in the experiments where they would have it, say here. In the first 15 experiments would have CTC, and the second 16 experiments will not have CTC. So they will see what is the average from this and what is the average from this, and they will find out the difference and see whether it is highly influential. Let's see. This is what we are trying to do. A response graph. A response graph is where I have two different points. Like for every parameter, there are around all the parameters are here. All my 30 parameters are here. And what I'm trying to do is, if I have that variable, is it able to give a better result? Say, if it gives me a high MD, which means that I'm pretty sure that it is an abnormal data. Say for example, if I'm using that parameter, my Mahalanobis distance is 102. Whereas if I don't use this parameter, the average that I get is 37, which means that I know, yes, this particular variable is highly influencing. So adding that into my model is definitely going to have a high discriminating power. So what do I have to do? I have to include that. Whereas consider another case. Say I'm having another thing is like, what is it? Say for example, like, is he from gender? Let's assume gender. Let's assume gender. And what I find is using gender as a factor, is it influencing my output? Let's assume the output that I have is using gender, it is 37, and without using, it is 35, which means that it is not making any difference. So which means that this factor, which I assume that could be an influential factor, is not resulting in a higher discriminating power, which means that then I would ignore that particular factor, right? So that's what we are trying to do. So there are some parameters which are like, there's no influence here, there's hardly any influence here, and there are some positive influences here, and there could be some negative influences as well, which means that adding this parameter is giving you a negative result, in the sense less discriminating power. So that's what we are trying to do, and with this we are finding out 10 different parameters from 30, and again this is subjective. We choose what we want. Like you can either go for critical 5, critical 10, critical whatever. Okay, so we have chosen 10 different parameters for us. If for us it was a location, where are they from, the college location, did they study in a good college? Probably that helps. There's CTC, which is like the salary there, the cost to the company. Gap between joining and production, like from the day they join till the time they hit the floor, which means that they have been in the training for a long time. So which means that I'm not confident. So to what extent I will be in the floor. So, and month of joining, did I join in the month where there was so much of product release? There could be so many things which we would not even think that it is influential, but that happens. And using transport, like India being such a crowded place, if I'm far away and if I'm using the transport, like if I'm using the public transport or company transport, that also influences. So there are many things like this. So this is how we optimize the model. Another thing which we have to consider here is there are some limitations or, okay, let's see the output. So the business benefits, so after implementing the model, we gave the RAG matrix to the HR team, which means that we would give it to them, and we also developed the model and gave it to them so that they can use it for further use. So the attrition reduced around 8%. Why? Because they were able to pinpoint which person is going to leave the organization and which particular employee is going to stay with the organization. So the flow management team was effective, and anybody who's a problem, just talk to them. That will be fine, right? So that worked. And then, so we deployed it for the other employees, and then this was further extended to the hiring profile. So now I have people who are in the organization, so I'm checking whether they will leave or not. Can I also do it at the hiring stage itself? Prevention, quality is always about prevention, isn't it? So can I do it at the hiring stage? But there will be, you will not have the other scores, like the training scores, the hiring scores and all this stuff. So you would have the fact files, the fact which cannot be changed. So you have the fact about them, and with that, can you build an MPS? So that's what we tried. We tried with the hiring profile during recruitment itself, can we address it at the early stage? And we also tried at the early attrition. Early attrition is around like 3 months from the joining date, 3 months within the organization, because that is really crucial for us. So why are we running within that early 3 months? Is because I have a higher potential of retaining them. If the needs are addressed, it's really good. So that's what we were doing. So these were the business benefits that we could figure out. And then in later years, this MTS is relatively a new system. In later years, what they have done is, I have seen in Missouri University, they have applied it for the community colleges, where they have a problem of retention in STEM fields. Like you have people moving, they're not completing their STEM courses in the community colleges. So they've applied there, they have found out like who is this one who can drop out, and they're trying to retain them. So that's what they're doing. And MTS can be used in other fields as well. See, there's one in the marketing strategy. What they do is, you have your potential customers, or you have your customers, they predict which customer will be a loyal customer and who will be the one who will switch over to the competition. So why do they do? So if you are a loyal customer, I would just post all the promotions to you, because there is a high probability of this getting into revenue. So that's what they're trying to do. Another one is breast cancer diagnosis with Wisconsin State's data. What they have tried is, they're trying to see if, these are all published papers. So where they're trying to see if the tumor is benign or malignant. So this is mostly used in medical field as well, because the diagnosis is costly and it is an intervention. So can we avoid that intervention? So even the first paper that Taguchi did, he had applied it for like autoimmune liver disease. He has tried this on a liver disease scenario, where they have people who have normal liver and people who have abnormal liver, and he has tried and see like what are the different factors which would affect it, and can we do. So this diagnosis is really helpful because it is economical, because it's very costly in terms of diagnosis, and it has a high prediction accuracy. MTF has high prediction accuracy. Few limitations that we saw was you have to be very considerate about fixing the threshold, because we don't know what is that MD which separates. Like the MD value was 2, but we are not sure can we fix the threshold at 2 or 3 or 5. So we need expert advice there. And another thing is like it doesn't consider it doesn't assume, most of the statistical methods will assume a distribution. It doesn't consider any distribution here. So these are a few limitations that we have. And compared to why are we not using it, say there are other multivariate analysis like principal component analysis, you have factor analysis, but the objective is entirely different. Those analyses are not going to pinpoint what individual point is abnormal or normal. It just gives you a component. A principal component analysis is a combination of all variables. It doesn't remove variables. So that's the advantage of MTF. So you can use, I think you can use it in your different industry. Thank you. So with whatever knowledge and experience that we had during that moment, we have tried it. So excuse us if there were any misses. Yes.
So with the industry you're working with,
is
that, do you think this is specialized as far as the different aspects? There's things common to this industry that may be different in a manufacturing industry or something like that?
There can be few parameters which would be different. Yeah, so for the kind of pressure that we would have, though we work for 8 to 9 hours, but we don't actually. We work on multiple things. The pressure would be there and things like that. Yeah, and see, it is not measurable. The error is not measurable for us. The miss is not measurable for us. Measurable as is, see, for example, if in the manufacturing industry, if I did this and it didn't work out, that's going to be a scrap, which is a visible error for me. Whereas in an IT services industry, I contact a customer, I just blabbered with him, I didn't do any solution. It is not visible. Unless and otherwise, I listen to the conversation, see the customer comes back. There could be customers who will not even come back. So that is a probably it is a bit, what do you say, much more difficult for us. Yeah, that's one difference which I have seen. Yeah. Yes, please.
So what were the primary reasons people were leaving within 3 months, and then what did they actually do?
They could be, okay, when we did this, during early attrition, there was so much of false hiring promises which happened. Because see, the hiring team had the pressure. The hiring team had the pressure of finishing, getting the targets done. So what they did was they were just giving promises like this would be done, you would have this benefit, that benefit. That was one crucial parameter which we identified. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
What did you do to stop the?
Stopping is not our job. So if we just stop, so that is HR. Let the HR take care of that. Yes, please.
In some ways, I think the notion is, I would call it statistical profiling.
Oh, yeah, profiling, yes.
One of the dangers now is that maybe the HR resources would be concentrating on some people, and the other people might feel slighted, not getting the attention, and say, hey, what's in it for me? Nobody's paying attention.
So that's when. Okay, so that's why we had the objective when you saw there were 2 levels. One was an immediate fix which I had to do where I have to pinpoint which employee is going to leave, and there was another one where we were thinking like what are the highly influential parameters, so I can address on all those. So it works in 2 ways. When you're talking about, so which means that I would have those 10 parameters, so I know that using transport is an issue. So what is the issue with the transport? What is it they are facing? So I would work on that particular thing which will cut across the board. So that was the 2 objectives. One is pinpointing and fixing them immediately. And another one is you find out the highly influential parameters which cuts across the board, and I would have solutions for that. So that's how it is. Yeah. I hope I answered your question.
So in performing this analysis, Is there commercially available software? It's done just in brute.
We just did it right from the scratch in Excel, just with Excel and macros, nothing more. Yeah, Excel and macros, just with Excel and macros. And it's like, thanks to ISI, because there were people from ISI who were able to support us. We were stuck in the middle, and they gave us all white papers, everything, and they were supporting us. We were stuck in the middle. Like, there was one stage where we could not even proceed anymore. Like, when we had the signal to noise ratio, we had to do it, but the paper that we looked at it was not giving clear instruction as to how to do it to the next. The optimization was not provided. So we really didn't know how to do it. So it was the Indian Statistical Institute, thankful to them, that they helped us with that. Yeah.
Did you have predominantly 20-somethings that you're hiring, or you had people from 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds, 40?
It's predominantly the young generation. They would even come to us for a stopgap. They just want to access this industry and see if they're comfortable with that. So that also happens. Predominantly, it is a young industry. Yeah. But the poor status right now is people who are elderly are just chucked out of the organization, chucked out of the industry, because they feel that we are high cost. So it's a challenging industry. Like when we were highly required at the early stage, now we are not required. Yeah. Yes, please. No, we didn't. That's why I was very specific about it. We tried that as well. Gender was not an influencing parameter. Yeah. Women work smarter, so. So that's how it is. Yes, please.
So in selecting your parameters, so you said you had 30 parameters.
Yes.
So do you have any way of determining, you know, if those 30 actually are covering all the variability, or if maybe you need to go and consider other parameters that, you know, those aren't as complete as you need?
Okay, so initially I told you that we had listed out around 54 parameters, and then we were not able to collect data. There you have, so that's when we came to 30. How can we find out if the variable is, like, have we considered the right set of variables? Is through that signal to noise ratio we can find out. But if at all, if you have missed any variable at the initial stage, there's no way in which you would be able to get it. Yeah, but that doesn't happen, I feel. But I don't think the system, because the input should be provided. The system works only on the input. Yeah.
As you got from whatever 25 to 8%, now you will see that, okay, what are the other
yeah, it could be. That are, like, you know, reacting. But if I'm not able to even find out, like, figure out what other parameters, we just have to try with the other parameters and see if it works out. Yeah, probably. Thank you so much for that. Yes. So the model accuracy will tell me if I'm able to distinguish between these two. But what he's saying is, can I have another parameter which could also be influential? So as what he said, like I would have to again include that parameter and see if at all if I have to do. Yes.
How did you collect your parameter data when the employee already left?
We would have it in the system.
But what was your technique in getting their responses?
No. See, this is based on their performance. Say, for example, what was their rating in their last appraisal? Say, I would have a bad appraisal, and I would just move. So everything which is based on the system available data. But there was also another system which we had in our company, which was like after the employee leaves. While an employee leaves, you will never give the right reason for leaving. So what we do is, after 3 months, there was a team which would connect to the employee who has left. And then we will roll out a survey. You would have a survey during the exit and also after 3 months while they left. So where they feel that, okay, my PF, everything is sorted out, so they don't have any connection with the company, so that they would give a fair feedback. So that's what we did.
So that people will provide that feedback.
Yeah, that feedback was really true, I would say, compared to the one that we have. Because during, when I leave, I don't give the rights because I'm not sure whether I would have all the other things coming up for me. So they did it after 3 months. Yeah. Any more questions? So with all these questions, I at least feel that I've made justice to making what does MT is, and you can figure out, like, you can apply it for your industry. It has predominantly good accuracy, very good accuracy, and you will be able to use it for your industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. For you. So And we also have one more task. You could draw a card here. All right. Last three digits are 068. Oops. You really? Yeah.
Did you say 047?
068.
I guess we
all right. Well, then maybe we'll go for another one. All right. 052. All right. Once again, we want to thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a chance, please take the time to get on our survey and let us know your feedback. Next month we will again be here. I think we're still in the same room, and we will have Matt Little, Tim Littlefield of Cranium Technology.
Yeah, just to give people a little background. My oldest daughter decided she wasn't going to be a good pregnant woman, so she ended up adopting my grand. We're also fostering a child right now. Its first month, a lot of these trials come through drug abuse or drug exposed, and so there was no eating with baby laying on his back the whole time, and the head flat. And so it's a major problem now. And what they do is the company does the helmets basically, and what it does is allows the helmet to the head to grow a certain direction and even it out. So he looks like a detached small man, little kid initially, and it's worked a lot. Unfortunately, if he got a little bit earlier, it would have been a better response. But luckily, and he's got his helmet 2 days ago, so he's very happy now. But very interesting technology. It's all customized for each child. And then potentially they have another one, the growth pattern, they might have 1 or 2 helmets. People are impressed all the time. So really neat.
All right. So thanks very much, and we hope to see you next month.
Yeah, it's not me as far as our slide.
So since we come up with our pattern, we've got basically like once I get the actual PDF, that it's about a 7-day lead time. This is get it. So if they get back to me, or if I can uncover where it is hidden in ASQ's cyberspace, then it should go pretty quick. I found it, I can see it, but I can't get it. So I don't know what that is.
One of those, the image is there, but it's not linked to anything.
Kind of, yeah, it's in the database, but I can't download it. So we'll figure it out someday.
All right. What do you want to show I did find out last, but
our top 2 reasons.
Let's check you on the top. That's what we